Hello Mousers! Today we're going to start with a congratulations to 10-year-old Will Phillips of Arkansas, who refused to recite the Pledge of Allegiance because, in his words, "I really don't feel there's liberty and justice for all." Mr. Phillips has gay friends who aren't afforded equal rights in America, so I have to say congratulations to this guy for taking a stand at such a young age. Okay, on to the topic of the day. Yesterday, comic artist Luke Searle asked me for my opinion on the furore surrounding a dealer at London's MCM Expo over the weekend. This dealer had apparently been selling canvas prints of artwork that many exhibitors at the expo who frequent DeviantArt recognised. When asked who the artists of the pieces this dealer was selling were, the dealer is said to have replied that he was. In short, this guy was selling prints of other people's artwork. Moreover, some of the artwork was of Marvel and DC characters, notably Superman, Iron Man, Thor and the Incredible Hulk. Apparently the dealer's stand was very popular and he's thought to have made quite a lot of money from the customers over the weekend. So let's look at what this dealer has done. At first glance, I thought this guy would be liable for the tort of reverse passing off. This is where a person claims that the work of another is his own work. It's similar to the tort of passing off, which is where a person claims that their work is the work of another. Counterfeit goods are an example of passing off, while swiping code from software can be an example of reverse passing off. In order to be liable for passing off, a person must have adopted a trade name, logo or other indicia that is the same as or very similar to that of someone with goodwill or reputation in the market. An example of this is where someone puts the Nike swoosh onto a pair of trainers not made by Nike in order to sell them as a Nike product. In art terms, making canvas prints of Marvel and DC characters is making a representation that the prints are either Marvel and DC products or products licensed by those companies. This is backed up by comments on Facebook by several people who attended the convention who thought the dealer was a licensed Marvel reseller. But how does this fit in with the DeviantArt prints? Well, the majority of artists have either a distinctive artistic style or a little signature or logo that they add to their work to show it's theirs, or both. I have a small ZR logo that I put onto my work, and it's these logos or marks similar to them that are the original meaning of trademark. By making canvas prints of artwork bearing a distinct artistic style or a signature logo of an artist, and then claiming that you made the work, you are making representations that you are that artist. It's worth noting that passing off can apply to both registered and unregistered trademarks, although registered trademarks have a greater chance of winning if the case goes to court. Lord Oliver summarised passing off very nicely in his judgment in Reckitt and Coleman Products Limited and Others in 1990, when he said, "No man may pass his goods off as those of another." This then leads us nicely into reverse passing off, where you claim someone else's work as your own. Reverse passing off was determined to be part of the tort of passing off in Bristol Conservatories Limited and Conservatories Custom Built Limited, so when this dealer claimed that he had created the work on these prints, he clearly fell into the remit of passing off, whichever way you look at it. We don't have to stop at passing off, however. There's another very nice law that we could throw at this guy, one I'm sure we've all heard of before. The tort of copyright infringement is often portrayed as the bully boy of laws, thanks to the activities of the RIAA, MPAA and other acronyms with AA in them. But it's not just the big kids that can use this law. We normal people are allowed to wield it too. In contrast to passing off, where a person has to actively make a representation in order to be liable, copyright infringement is an example of strict liability. In plain English, this means that you can be liable or even guilty, if we're talking about strict liability offences, without the need for any mental element at all. The upside here is that simply printing out someone else's work without their permission, or copying their drawings, or basically making use of someone else's work in any way without their permission is enough to bring copyright infringement into play. For example, if I draw Batman, I infringe copyright. If you then take that drawing and print it out, you also infringe copyright, but you do it twice, because you're not just infringing my copyright in a specific depiction of Batman, but also DC's copyright on the look of the character himself. I don't have to prove that you meant to do anything with that printout in order for you to be liable, but if that's all that you've done, then your liability is moot. I've not lost anything just because you printed out your own copy, unless I'm selling my own printed copies, of course. Then I can get you for the cost of one of my printouts, because I can show direct loss from your printout of my drawing of my characters. But even then I'm likely to find that the case is thrown out because the law doesn't deal with trifles, although if my prints are valuable, you're going to lose in court. But if you then go on to sell your printouts of my drawings, it all becomes a different matter. This is where the concept of copyright theft comes from. It's a link between copyright infringement and common theft. Theft is defined as the assumption of the rights of owner of a property with the intention of permanently depriving the owner of said property of enjoyment of the property. Now, you using my copyright as if it's yours is an assumption of the rights of owner, because only the copyright holder can make prints, sell prints, and so forth. Furthermore, you selling prints of my work deprives me of the sales I could otherwise have made by selling prints myself. Most importantly, I don't have to be selling prints at the time you violate my copyright, because once a person has bought a print, they are so unlikely to buy that print again that we can reasonably say I have lost sales permanently. That permanency is the clincher here. As a result, I, as the copyright holder, can sue the copyright infringer for damages based on the money that he made selling prints of my work, and also based on the price, if any, that I sell my work at. However, I can only do this if I have not violated copyright myself, because the courts require that I have what is known as clean hands. In other words, if I've harmed someone else's copyright, such as when I draw a picture of Batman, I can't whine about someone else violating my subordinate copyright when they sell that picture of Batman. As a final note, it's worth pointing out that passing off and copyright infringement are not mutually exclusive. It's common practice to sue a person for both at the same time in order to cover as many bases as possible. That way, if a court decides the person is liable because they took your stuff and sold it as if it was their own, but you haven't exactly proved passing off to the satisfaction of the court, they can still award you damages based on copyright infringement and vice versa. Okay, that's all I've got time for today. I hope this video made a few legal topics clearer for you. It's worth noting that I've done a more in-depth explanation of copyright before in this video here, so if you click there you'll get that. Don't forget to click the like button, share this with your friends if they also need to know about this stuff, and click the subscribe button to get more videos in the future. Until then, I've been Kirk-Robinson, you've been watching a video, and I'll see you tomorrow.